Hi, this is Mark from Wicky Design. In this video, I'm going to show you how I use ChatGPT to build a complex membership website. This project is using Elementor Pro, ACF Pro, Jet Engine, Jet Popup, and a few other Crocoblock tools. The main purpose of this project is to give a paid user the ability to create their own memorial page like this for a loved one who has passed. We wanted a way for the user to make updates to their memorial page on the front end in real time. So here's an example of how the user can change their background. So they would just click this button right here, change background. And let's say they wanted to change it to the mountains instead. So they would just click submit, and then this is going to update automatically in real time. Building this type of membership website can get pretty complex with custom WordPress functions and JavaScript. Before using ChatGPT and other AI tools, these tasks would have taken me hours of Google searching. But now in some cases, it only takes a few seconds for AI to produce working custom code that I can use on a website like this. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 different ways I use ChatGPT to give me the custom code I needed for this project. The first thing I'm going to cover is I needed the ability to add a custom CSS class to the body of these memorial pages. So every time someone creates a new memorial page, it's just getting added as a new page inside of a custom post type called memorial. The next thing I'm going to cover is how I was able to change this tab right here. So this is just using like a tab system inside Elementor. I wanted the ability to hide this tab video. If the user does not have a video, on their memorial, I wanted to make sure that that video tab does not show, because not everybody's going to always have a memorial video. So in some cases, I just wanted to make sure that that will get hidden for non-logged in users. Then the next thing I'm going to cover is how I was able to pull off this change background image right here. So like I just showed you in the beginning, if a user clicks on a different image, it's going to automatically get updated in the back end right here. So I did need a little bit of help from ChatGPT on how I can target this background all within Elementor. And then the last thing I'm going to cover is if I go to their account dashboard, you can see right here where it says status published. The user has the ability to change the status, in between private or published. So by default, I needed to be able to change how this is going to look right here. So I needed a little bit of JavaScript help from ChatGPT to help render this out a little bit different. Now here I am in ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you exactly the prompts I used in order to get the custom code I needed for this project. The first prompt I will generate is a simple request and will be used in the next example. I need to make sure that the CSS class not logged in is automatically added to the body of the website for users not logged into the website. So I just headed over into ChatGPT, and this is the exact prompt I used. I just said WordPress, add the class not logged in. You can put it on quotes, you don't have to the body if the user is not logged in. And then within a few seconds, of course, ChatGPT is going to give me this right here. And what I like about ChatGPT is it's going to give you, what language it uses. So in most cases, if you're doing any sort of WordPress function or anything, that's going to be PHP. And then anything on the front end of the website where you need to change, what it's going to display or some other actions like that, that's going to be more JavaScript. So what's nice about ChatGPT in a case like this is it's actually going to give you exactly what it's doing right down here. And I found in most cases, if you have a really simple prompt like this, ChatGPT is going to get it right most of the time. You're going to see later in this video, once you start to get a little more complex, a lot of times ChatGPT is not going to give you exactly what you need. So you will need to go ahead and check for JavaScript errors and make sure there's no other bugs. But in this case, I know that this code looks good to me. So what you can do is just click this button right here. It says copy code. And then I'm going to show you where you can easily add that into your functions and then do some testing to make sure that this worked. And here we are on the back end of the website, and I'm just using the code snippets plugin right here. And as you can see, I have a whole bunch of different code snippets for this project. And what I recommend is every snippet, just go ahead and make sure you give it a good title so you can understand what this stuff means when you come back to it in the future. So in this case, I'm calling this not logged in class to body. You can do something like that. And all you need to do in this case is I just needed to paste that in there, and I'm going to run the script everywhere, and then you can save changes. And here we are on the front end of the website, not currently logged in. So this is just what the public would see. So if I right click and hit view page source, now I'm going to jump down into the body class right here, and I'm just making sure that this class I targeted right here, not logged in. So this is exactly what I wanted ChatGPT to do, is add this class to the body. because in the next example, we're going to need to target people who are not logged into the website. So this was a really good, simple introduction to how easy it is that you can add ChatGPT code to your website. Now moving on to the second prompt I'm going to show you in this video. This one's going to be a little more complex and is going to require some custom JavaScript. As you can see down here, I have a video tab for the memorial pages. But in some cases, the person might not have a video for the memorial. So I wanted to make sure that this tab right here is going to be hidden if the video wasn't added to the page. And also I need to make sure that I'm also targeting people who are not logged into the website. So that's why that code I just added is going to play into this example right here. So here we are back in ChatGPT, and this one's going to be a little more complex. And I'm going to show you how you can see down here I ran into some issues and the exact prompts I used for ChatGPT to help me out. So in this case, I knew I needed to use jQuery, so I started the prompt with jQuery, hide this section right here, and I'll show you in the code where I was able to get this. So basically I'm saying hide that container and if the body has the class not logged in. So that example I just showed you before, I needed to make sure I was targeting people not logged into the website because I want to make sure that admins and especially the paid users will always see that tab. So if I didn't add that to this prompt right here, it would just be hidden for everybody and that would serve no purpose. So I needed to make sure I was just targeting not logged in users. And I need to make sure that this right here, video tab, is empty. So this right here is actually an ACF field. And I'm basically saying if that's empty, don't show that tab. And if they're not logged in. So as you can see right here, ChatGPT kicked out this code right here. And I thought at first this was going to work, but as you can see right here, I knew that this empty function inside JavaScript was probably causing the error because if you scroll down, I said, give me another example. It couldn't quite do it. And I put right down here, try new code. So if you run into a situation with ChatGPT and it's just not working, you can just tell it to give you exactly that. Give me an alternative way to do it. And as you can see, this looks a little bit different. And after thinking about it a little bit more, this empty tag was causing the issue. What I needed to do was change it to length. So the good thing about using a tool like ChatGPT, you don't have to, say please and thank you. You could just put in exactly what you want. You can just type this in real quick and it will kick out the code that you need. So this is the code that actually ended up working correctly. And you see right here it says length equals 0. So basically the way that these ACF fields are working is it's returning a result of 0. So that's why this command up here, empty, was not working. So that's what's good about this tool. You can always just go ahead and just say, this isn't working. Give me another example. And it will kick it out eventually. You'll get the code that you need. So now I'm going to show you how this all tied in and how I was able to hide that tab. So this is what the tab section looks like as a paid member. As you can see right here, when you go to the video tab, they can click this button here that says edit video. And this right here, like I said, is just an ACF embed field right here. So I just put in a video and it hits submit. So what this is going to do is, of course, add that video into the video tab. And now the user can go ahead and see the video right here. So the whole purpose of this example is if they don't have a video, it's not very useful to show the tab. So now I'm going to jump into this template and show you where I add that JavaScript code. And here we are on the template page. And as you can see right down here, this is just using the tabs widget in Elementor. So what I wanted to do is make sure that this JavaScript is going to get placed right above it. So this code's going to kick in first and then hide that. So you can see right here, I just copied and pasted everything that I got from ChatGPT and just put it in here. And I can quickly kind of walk through what this code is doing. So you can see right here, it says if body has that class. So that was the very first thing we added, not logged in. And video tab length equals 0. So this right here is actually just an ACF video field. And I'll show you how to tag that right here. And here we are inside the template, which I embedded inside that video tab. And you can see right here, this is just a regular video widget in Elementor. I have the ACF field for that video. And underneath right here where it says advanced, I just made sure that I added a class right here called video tab. And we also need to just target this tab right here. And I'll go into the source code and show you how I was able to pull in this right here to make sure that everything is getting targeted correctly. And if I go to this page in an incognito window, you can see right here, I'm in the inspect inside Chrome. So if I click this button right here and I just inspect this one tab right here, What I'm going to do is I wanted to target just this one class right here called Elementor tab content, and then this is its unique ID. So it's just called Elementor tab content 2396. So after some trial and error, I figured out that with the tab system inside Elementor, it's best to target this right here because inside mobile, what it's going to do is also target that as well. So I definitely had to do some trial and error to figure out that this is the best solution. In this case, is to target just this area controls right here. So if we go back to the code, you can see that this is exactly what I'm targeting. Is just 2396 is the unique ID. So as you can see with this code, I'm targeting the div, the area controls, tab content 2396. So if I did happen to change these tab orders or anything like that, or add more or subtract, I would have to go ahead and just make sure that this gets updated correctly. And that's it. Then it's just using JavaScript to show hide. So let me show you what it looks like on the front end when you have a video and when you don't have a video. So this is the way you can make sure that it's all working correctly. Here we are on the front end of that memorial, and I'm not logged in, so this is all in an incognito window. So this is what the public will see. So from that last example I showed you, I did add that video in here. So the video tab should show up just like this. So now the user can play the video. Now let's go ahead and delete the video and make sure that this gets hidden correctly, and then we'll look for any JavaScript errors as well. And here we are on the page as if I am the paid member. So let's go ahead and click edit video. And I'm just going to remove this. I'm just going to hit delete and hit submit. So once I do that, you're going to notice for the paid user, they could still see the video tab. And that's because I'm targeting people that are only not logged in to make sure the video tab is hidden. So now let's go into our incognito and hit refresh and make sure that that tab is not going to show. And here we are again on the front end. So let me go ahead and just hit refresh right here. And if I scroll down, you're going to notice that the video tab is no longer there. So we can switch in between all of these different tabs and it works correctly. And of course the video tab is not showing. And what I always like to do is when you trigger any sort of JavaScript or custom function, just go into your console right here and just make sure that you don't have any error messages right here. And like I said, it's really good with a tool like ChatGPT, because if you do run into any JavaScript errors or anything like that in your console, you could just copy and paste that in there and it will start to give you the direction on how you can fix it. The next prompt I'm going to show you is how I was able to give the user the ability to change the background on the memorial page. So if you click this button right here, it says change background. As you can see, I have some pre-selected backgrounds that the user can choose from. So let's go ahead and say we want to change this to the mountains. We just hit submit, and then it's going to automatically change this background. So if I want to go back into the sunset, I can always hit submit and it will go back. So I'm going to show you the exact prompt I used in order to get this to work correctly inside Elementor. And here we are back in ChatGPT, and as you can see, this command right here is pretty large. And I think this is where ChatGPT really shines, is because you can give it a bunch of different commands and tie it all together, and it will just kick out one function code right here. So let me just walk you through exactly how I was able to pull this off. So I knew that this was going to be a WordPress function, so I just wanted to make sure that ChatGPT was going to give me PHP code. So I just said WordPress function. So the next thing I wanted it to do was add to the head of a single page custom post type called memorial. So all of these memorial pages I have as a custom post type called memorial. So it's good to just, echo back this information only when you need it. It's not really useful to have this code fire on every single page. So I wanted to make sure I was just targeting the custom post type memorial. Then what I'm telling it to do is that background image that you were able to select, those are just ACF background images. So I just said retrieve image URL from ACF field called BG image. So I just called an ACF field BG image, and it's just a radio selector, so the user can select which one by a radio button. And then right here, I'm saying PHP echo the results to the class ACF background. So that whole top section is just called ACF background. Inside a background image URL with background size cover and repeat, no repeat. So this right here is, I just wanted it to make sure that it was going to add in this custom CSS right here, so I don't have to do it later. So if you know that you're going to need some CSS, you can just tell it inside the prompt and then it will just add it for you. So you can see right here, this is the CSS. It's just adding ACF background. I'm targeting that ACF field called BG image. And then I knew that I needed to have a cover and no repeat, Because if I didn't have this, it would start to tile weird and everything like that. So it does help to have a good CSS background if you want to start firing off these commands inside ChatGPT. But I knew that this was going to work correctly. So now I'm going to show you where I was able to paste that and tie it all together. And here we are back in the code snippets, and I have this one right here called ACF background image function. So if I click on that, all I did, of course, is just copy and paste exactly the code that ChatGPT kicked out right here. And now I'll show you where the ACF fields are and how I was able to target this background. So if I jump into my ACF right here, field groups, I have background image. And like I said, this is just using the type radio button. And if I scroll down here, these are just the different options right here. So we just have all the different backgrounds, and I just have it where the user can now update it on the front end. So I'll also show you how I was able to target that section. And inside that memorial template, you can see right here, the main section right here, I just needed to target the CSS background as ACF background. So that's where you want to go ahead and put something like that. And what I do recommend is, by default, they're not going to have a background selected, so it's best to at least target a color. So in this case, this would be like a branded color. You can change right here, and then the background image is just going to sit on top of that once they select it. In this last example, I needed some help changing the text of the current post status on the account dashboard. As you can see right here, I'm using the listing grid to show a feed of the user's memorial. I wanted to make sure that the user can click on the Edit Memorial button, and then within here, they can click right here where it says Make Memorial Private. I wanted to give them the ability to either be published or private. So if you look on our listing grid right here, I'm using a dynamic field to show right here the post status. And what's happening is it's just being rendered out as the word publish or draft or private. So I needed some help, and I thought this would be a good use case for ChatGPT to help render out something that looks a little bit different, and I can have a little more control over it. So instead of just having the word publish underneath inside the listing grid, I wanted to make sure that it said status, public, or whatever it may be. So now I want to jump into ChatGPT and show you how with a little bit of JavaScript, I was able to change this right here where it says status published. And here we are back in ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you the exact prompt I used in order to pull that off. So I knew this was going to be done with just some JavaScript. So I just started with JavaScript, target the class publish status. So if we go back into my listing grid right here, this dynamic field I just showed you underneath advanced, I made sure that this CSS class was called publish status. Then I just told ChatGPT exactly the way I wanted this to work. I put change the rendered text publish to status published. And then I just told ChatGPT change the rendered text draft to status private. So the way it's going to work is the user is going to have the ability to switch in between a published and a draft page. But I wanted it to render out as status private. So the only way to really pull this off is using a little bit of JavaScript. So if you look down here, this is what it kicked out. And I was able to copy this code, and it actually did work correctly. But the one thing I did notice, you can see right here, I said, remove this code right here, this iterate code, because I felt like this wasn't really needed. So I wanted to see if I could, make the code a little bit cleaner. And so just by me typing in, remove this selected code, it rendered it back out without that code in it. And then it kind of gave you, this approach allows you to update the text content without writing for a loop. So I think that that was a good choice because I don't really need to do anything else than just these two commands. So I don't really need to do any sort of loop or anything like that. So I was able to just copy that, and then I'll show you where I was able to place this on the page. And here we are on the back end of that account dashboard page. And as you can see right here, I'm just using a listing grid, and this right here is what we wanted to be able to change. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the page right here, you can see this is where I threw in the HTML, JavaScript code right here. And I didn't have to change anything else inside this code right here. So if I just go right here, you can see it's targeting that class publish status, and then it's going to just look for the word publish, change it to status published, and then it's going to look for the word draft and then status private. Now I'm going to go to the front end of the website to make sure that that switches correctly. So as of right now, this memorial is considered private. So let me go ahead and click the word published right here, hit update. And then I'm going to go back to my dashboard and make sure that this one says published. Now if I go ahead and hit refresh on the dashboard, you should see right here, status is now published. So let me just do one more test, because with these type of things, you want to make sure that it's always going to work correctly. So if I click this button again, make memorial private now, I should be able to switch this to private, go back to the dashboard, and it should say status private now. So now let's hit refresh and scroll down the page. And yes, it does look like status is now considered private on this one. Now tell me that's not pretty awesome. I can tell you, as someone that has been making websites since the 1990s, these AI tools are probably one of the most powerful and useful things to ever happen in this industry. I'm really looking forward to adding AI to our workflow and seeing how we can add it to more complex websites like this one. I hope this video has given you some good ideas on how you can use AI moving forward. Thanks for watching.